abstract. Yeah, it's complicated what you say, the way you act. Well, it makes me so confused. I don't know what to do anymore. Can't you just make up your mind? My heart drops when you play around. How can you be up when I'm down? Don't wanna think about it right now. Maybe you just wanna be friends, but there is a fight when we are talking. Maybe you just wanna pretend, but I can read between the lines. Even if I can't deny that all the things you said are hurting, still wanna be with you. I think you want it too. 'Cause baby, I don't wanna be. Baby, I don't wanna be. No, baby, I don't wanna be. Baby, I don't wanna be. How it hurts to see you smile, like a dagger in me. She just seems so juvenile. I just want it to be me. I wanna set your world on fire. Oh, just so sure I'll stick around. Oh, my heart drops when you play around. How can you be up when I'm down? Don't wanna think about it right now. Maybe you just wanna be friends, but there is a fight when we are talking. Maybe you just wanna pretend, but I can read between the lines. Even if I can't deny that all the things you said are hurting, still wanna be with you. I think you want it too. 'Cause baby, I don't wanna be. Baby, I don't wanna be. Oh, even if I can't deny that all the things you said are hurting, still wanna be with you. I think you want it too. 'Cause baby, I don't wanna be. No, baby, I don't wanna be. No, baby, I don't wanna be. Baby, I don't wanna be.
Hello. All right, there we go. Got the comments on. Sorry about that. I was like, I'm not seeing anything. Hi, everyone. Hello. All right. So, first question here. Do you have a list of masculine colors? I do not, but that is an excellent idea. I should work on that, and I will do that and get it shared on my in my email that I send out. So yeah, that'd be awesome. Great idea. Hi, Nicole. Loved your card. I'm never going to start with metallics. Thanks for the video. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Yeah. Just kind of reading through. How did I get into mixed media? Great question, Victoria. Kind of just a mix of different things, but I think a lot of it probably came from a friend of mine that was into mixed media, and I saw her doing it. We would get together like very regularly, at least once a month, to spend the day crafting. And she was always working on all these cool projects, and I just found it really interesting. And like slowly over the years of knowing her, because we've probably been friends now for, I don't know, going on 10 or 15 years. And yeah, I just kind of transitioned over into it because I used to actually do scrapbooking and card making and very neat and clean stuff. So yeah, so just kind of always switching it up, trying new things. What sweater's more appropriate for the male teenager? That's a good question. I Well, you straight up honest, I do not have children, so I don't know that I'm like the best resource to give you thoughts on teenagers, but you can always go with something that's more generalized. I've like, if you don't have anything that you would consider masculine, like example, the die cuts that I used on my cards, maybe you've got some stars or just some general shapes, like basic shapes that you could use, hexagons or circles, or, and then just pick colors that maybe they like, because we say masculine, but, and we all kind of assume blacks and browns and blues and greens, but it doesn't have to be because, like, sometimes they have colors that they love that are, red or orange or, their favorite sports team. So stuff like that maybe would help. Additional tips if using acrylic paint instead of distress paints. Um, so my understanding with distress paints is they are a little more fluid than typical acrylic paints. So you might try adding just a teeny tiny bit of water. Like I'm talking like start off with like a little spritz of water base and then slowly mix it into the paint. Don't like put a bunch of it into the water. Like maybe put water on your mat and then some paint on your mat and then kind of slowly pull them together and see if that gets it to a consistency. But I would think you could still probably do these techniques with just regular acrylic paint and not have to be too concerned. Acrylic paint substitutes. Okay. It just kind of depends. Like, the thing with the acrylic paints is once they dry, they're permanent. And so that's kind of, if you, when you're layering products, especially water-based products, like a lot of the distress products are, and a lot of inks are, those, you put the paint down on top of things or below things, and that's going to kind of impact how things are, layer or don't layer. So I mean you could try it with just some maybe pigment ink and see what happens, but again, like, it's all going to impact how it layers. So some techniques you just kind of have to use those kind of products to get that effect. But that said, you can always um, experiment and try things and see what happens, because that's what I do a lot. That's kind of how I came up with the technique that I shared with you in this class, was me just playing around and seeing what was going to work and give me the look that I was going for. So hopefully that helps. Clean my brushes. I just clean them with water, soap and water. I don't have any fancy brush cleaners or anything like that. So I know there's stuff out there, but I just use, wash them off right away in some water. Yeah. I don't have very expensive brushes either, though. So, if you've got some really expensive brushes, then you might want to look into something, some kind of a professional brush cleaner. Oh, never. That's a great question. If you all knew sometimes how much time I spend on just one card when I'm especially when I'm creating something for a class or a video, I might make that project 10 times before it gets to what you all actually end up seeing in the finished results. So yes, I spend a lot of time on my cards, so hours and hours sometimes. So, but part of that process is the creative process, and I enjoy that process. So I think if you're getting frustrated with it, maybe try to step back and think about why you're doing what you're doing. So it's supposed to be fun. So try to focus on the enjoyment of that if you can, for sure. Nifty blending brush stand. I'm not sure. Oh, are you talking about the one in the picture behind me? If you're talking about that one, that is Make It by Marco. They have an Etsy shop, And yeah, I super love it. So it's a little spinny thing. So yeah, that's what you're talking about. That's, yeah, I love it. It's a new thing for me. Why do you spray the paper? That is an excellent question. So when you're working with there's kind of two different embossing folders on the market now that are available. There's kind of the older ones that maybe if you've been around for a long time, you'll remember. You put some paper in and it just made a real simple design into it. The ones now are called 3D embossing folders, and they have multiple layers in the plastic material. So it's not just um, em, like embossing just one layer. There's depth to it, and that is a little bit more challenging for your paper to handle. And so by wetting the paper and spraying it, you're kind of softening the fibers in the paper, and then when you run it through the embossing folder and the die cutting machine, it's less likely to tear and crack that paper. Not saying that it won't happen, because sometimes it still does, but the getting it wet will help with that, and then it also will help you get an even better impression if you use it even with just with like a regular embossing folder. So there's kind of multiple reasons for doing it, but both of it is to really help you get the best embossed design. Can you do the techniques with other metallic cardstock and with some other mediums besides paint? I would try it and see. I did not try this technique with other products because these are the products that I have. So if you have things that are different, I super recommend just try it. It's paper and paint. Like you can always, get another piece of paper, and I'm sure you've got more than enough paint to try it a couple times. So just experiment and try it and see, because like you might end up with something slightly different than what I did, and you may love it even more. So go for it. Definitely. Have you ever used acrylic paints to do mixed media? I'll be super honest. Paints are not always my go-to. They're probably towards the bottom of my like go-to for creating at all. I kind of prefer the dye inks and pigment inks, like the distress inks, the oxide inks, and the sprays over the paints. But they're always a great permanent option if you're wanting something that you don't have to worry about, um, it getting, like if water gets onto the paint once it's dry, it's not going to affect it like it will an ink. So just, gives you different effects and just different things to take into consideration when you're using it. All right, that's a good question. Oh, cards make for men. I mean, it is always, I think, a little bit more challenging because we do tend to, I think, women or females do tend to be drawn more to like flowers and butterflies. I mean, I'll admit to that. So I guess I usually just try to think about the person that I'm making it for and like what their interests are. If I know like colors that they like, kind of use that to kind of help me a little bit with that. So hopefully that helps. Do you use water paper? I'm not sure if you're referring to watercolor paper, but my go-to pretty much for every project is distressed watercolor paper. That is just my personal preference. It it can take everything, and so if I don't really know what mediums I'm going to use, I don't have to worry about it as I'm going along the process because I know it can handle it. So that's my personal, favorite. Layering your colors. All right, that's a very deep, very difficult question, but I'll do my best to answer it. So layering colors and inks, um, it it's really impacted by the properties of each particular product. So dye inks, like distress inks, or pigment based inks that are kind of like, or a hybrid type ink that it's a mix of dye and pigment. Um, they all have different properties, and so that's going to impact how they layer with each other. So some of like dye inks are more translucent, so you can kind of see through them. So when they mix together, you get a different layering effect than when you do oxide inks. They have more pigment in them, so they're gonna almost they'll blend, but they kind of almost cover up what's under them. So it's just a different effect. And then paints, same thing. If they're wet, you mix them together, you're going to get a different color. But once they're dry and then you put another color on top of it, you're going to kind of cover up what's underneath there because the pigment is so much stronger in the paint. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Is this your job, passion, or both? This is my job. Yeah, up recently, got into this full time, but I had a career for 20 years as a physical therapist, and then I worked as a graphic designer for many years. And yeah, I just recently transitioned over into this kind of being a job for me. So yeah, but it is a passion as well. So I absolutely love creating and sharing and teaching, and yeah, just been trying to get into more of that recently. So thank you. I see there's a lot of people sharing some ideas over here in the comments. So thank you for ideas for masculine backgrounds and inks and techniques and stuff. Thank you. Yeah, you guys, this has been some good questions for sure. Definitely. So it's been great. I hope you guys have been enjoying the summit and all the classes that have been going on. So there's so many, just loads and loads of inspiration and ideas that no matter what your style is, I think you can take any of the classes and learn something. So yeah. Oh, Tiffany, girl. That's a question. If I get only one distressed product, I would have to say my distress inks, probably. Ink pads, like, yeah, I that's probably my favorite. Then the oxide inks, and then the sprays, and then the crayons, or the pencils, I mean. The distress watercolor pencils are probably my third favorite, and then the paint and the crayons are probably towards the end of that. And I think, yeah, but yeah, good. That was a good question. Oh, what card makers or artists do you follow? I'm a huge Tim Holtz fan, and the makers that work, do projects and stuff for him. I'm one of them, but the group of talent he has on that team, I am always so inspired by. So those are, some people like definitely follow. Tiffany Solario, who I see is in the comments here, she is always a huge inspiration to me. Trying to think other names off the top of my head, but yeah. Yeah, there's so many people that are talented. Yeah. All right. Looks like we're done, people. Well, thank you guys. This was so much fun. Thank you for spending time with me too. I appreciate it. So, guys, enjoy the rest of the summit. We'll see you soon.